Hi guys, it's Liddy, and today I am going to be talking about some very interesting reading experiences. So if you don't know this yet, if you haven't watched any of my other videos, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen is my favorite novel of all time. I love this book. I think the story is really intriguing, the characters are wonderful, and I just love this book so much. I read this book about 6 years ago, and ever since I really wanted to read another Jane Austen book, but with school getting in the way and stuff, it just never really happened because as much as I love her writing style, she is not the easiest author to get into her stories. So it just never happened until now. Just now, like literally 5 minutes ago, I finished Emma by Jane Austen, and this book was delightful. I didn't like it as much as Pride and Prejudice, not even close, though I still consider it a favorite, and I also gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. But it definitely was not like the same for me. My reading experiences of these two books, very interesting, very unique, and very different from each other, is the web series adaptations of them. If you aren't familiar, each of these books has a web series adaptation made by the same group of people. John Green came up with the idea for the Pride and Prejudice one, which is called the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, and the same group of, like the same production company made, company's probably not the right word, but the same producers and stuff made the Emma one, which is called Emma Approved. I love both of these web series so much. As I said, I read Pride and Prejudice years ago, so I actually read Pride and Prejudice before the Lizzie Bennet Diaries even came out. Or close to the same time anyway. So I watched the Lizzie Bennet Diaries in my freshman year of college, so 4 years ago, and I just loved it, and I just wanted more from this production group. So I ended up just watching Emma Approved, even though I hadn't read Emma yet, which is not something I normally would do, but I just loved Lizzie Bennet Diaries so much I just needed more. So I have watched Emma Approved 4 years before I read the book, and now I'm just going to talk about the different experiences I had with reading Pride and Prejudice and then watching the Lizzie Bennet Diaries and then watching Emma Improved and then reading Emma. So we're going to start with the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. So as I said already, Pride and Prejudice is my favorite book, so I had very, very high expectations for the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, and my best friend sent me the link to the first episode and was like, you need to watch this, it's great. So I was like, what is this? I was super intrigued, and just the amount of details that they put into the web series from the series had me so enthralled. And just there's definitely things that they changed to make it more suitable for a modern audience and just make it more realistic to modern times. The way that they changed Lydia's story arc is one of my favorite things. It was just so incredible, and it was so cool because I was able to watch the Lizzie Bennet Diaries and be like, wow, this is such a cool expansion on something that I already love. I love Pride and Prejudice and the Lizzie Bennet Diaries in two very, very different ways. Even though it is a brilliant adaptation, part of me doesn't even consider them quite the same thing. I mean, they aren't quite the same thing, but I don't necessarily lump them together, but a lot of the things I do most appreciate about the Lizzie Bennet Diaries are the ways in which they adapted it, ways that they made it modern so beautifully. It's such a fun web series, and there's so many random little things that they threw in. They threw in stuff about the 1995 BBC miniseries, which is the best way to watch Pride and Prejudice. Not the 2005 movie, because that is not very accurate to the book. And they referenced the one that was more accurate, which I appreciated as a bit of a Pride and Prejudice snob. And just, I thought that they kept very true to who Lizzie was, which I really appreciated. Darcy as well. Just the way that they took the characters, put them in a modern sense, and just kept them true to who Austen wrote them out to be is something that's so cool to me. So watching Emma Approved, I was completely in a different place because I wasn't familiar with the story at all. which then turned into a very interesting reading experience for the book because I was familiar with a basic storyline, but I didn't know what was happening in the actual story. So when I went into reading Emma, I had a basic outline, but I didn't really know what it was that they were modernizing. And that was so much fun for me. As I said, normally I really would I prefer to read the book first, but I'm really glad I didn't in this sense, in this case I mean, just because it was such a fun experience reading this book, just some of the random things that they modernized, and getting to discover what it was that they were modernizing afterward. It was so much fun. So if you've watched Emma Approved, or if you've read Emma, I don't really think that this is a spoiler at all. There's one part, and I'm going to talk about Emma Approved first because that's what I experienced first. There's one part which Caroline Bingley, who they put in place of someone else, I guess this is a spoiler, they put her in place of someone else. And there's this one line she says it to Knightley, and it's just the way that I thought it was just something that they threw in there just to make her more annoying to Emma, but it was a really good modernization of what happened in the book with the character that she replaced. It was just so funny. There was multiple moments like that. I would just start giggling, and I read a lot of this book actually in public. Sometimes at work I'm able to read, and when I did bring a book to work, it was always this one because I really did want to finish this one in 2017. It was just a lot of fun. It was I would just giggle out loud at some things. I was wait, that modernization was that literal? It was really great. Even down to at the end of the book, when Harriet has needs to go to the dentist, I did not think that that was something that was actually in the book. I thought that was just an excuse to have her not there in that moment in the web series. But no, she actually had to go to the dentist in the book, and that just is something I appreciated. There's so many moments in this book that they just talked about the weather for 3 pages, which probably sounds really boring, but it was so just delightful and made me wish for times of simplicity more than we have in today's culture. And it was just really fun. So this is not a very coherent video, but I just thought it was so much fun to be able to read Pride and Prejudice and then watch a modernization of it, and appreciate, as I was watching the modernization, the ways in which they translated the story into modern times, and then go back and do the opposite with Emma and Emma Approved, and just reading the book makes me appreciate the modernization that much more. And there's definitely characters I feel very differently about in the book than I do in the modernization. Same with Pride and Prejudice and the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. Harriet is my favorite character in Emma Approved. I did not like her in the book, much at all. I thought she was super annoying. But I see how they got that modernization of her. I see why they altered her and made her a bit more of a developed character. And that was really cool. In the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, everyone's is like that. If you've watched it, Lydia. Everyone has different feelings about Lydia in the Lizzie Bennet Diaries because she's just so much better. She's so much more developed, and you really relate to Lydia, which is cool. And it was just such a fun thing for me to be able to do that. I keep saying the same thing. I'm sorry. Just the ways that they modernized both of these books was really good. Which one do I think is better modernization? Probably the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, I would say, is a slightly better modernization, but both of them got the overarching story done really well and concentrated on little specific details, which was just so much fun. I feel like they changed Emma a little bit more. I feel like they definitely took a few more liberties, I guess is what I'm trying to say, with Emma than they did with Pride and Prejudice. But both of them are so good. I highly recommend both of these books and both of those web series modernizations because they are so great. I would definitely say that the Lizzie Bennet Diaries is more of PG-13, but Emma Approved is pretty PG, which might be part of the reason that it's actually the one I enjoy more. And after reading this book and seeing that some of it was liberties, but some of it was just like really, really, really spot on, was so much fun. It makes me appreciate it even more. And I also just appreciate Jane Austen as an author even more, because I can finally say that I've read more than one Jane Austen book. I own like 2 or 3 more, so hopefully I'll be reading those in 2018. Hopefully also in 2018 I will get a cover of Pride and Prejudice that matches the glory and beauty of the Emma cover, because this is gorgeous and this is not. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this bubbly, rambly, excited video about my very different reading experiences with these 2 books and just their web series and how much fun they are. I'll leave a link to the first episode of both the Lizzie Bennet Diaries and Emma Approved in the description of this video, and I hope you enjoy. Have a nice day. Bye!